Erica Hernandez is a digital journalist with KSAT 12 in San Antonio, and she was having a family brunch not far from Sutherland Springs when it became apparent something was going badly wrong.
My mom is a first responder, and we started hearing her scanners go off for all units needed for a shooting. So she takes off, and then I'm like, maybe I should go see what's going on. When I get there, I made the scene as when first responders were making the scenes as well.
And what did you see there?
There was police surrounding the church, and neighbors were outside. It was just kind of all hands on deck for first responders to try to help the victims. There was 2 victims outside the church, and then I immediately started talking to the neighbor directly across the street from the church who told me, how they saw the gunman as he started shooting from the outside of the church and then made his way inside the church. And then when he got out, neighbors started firing back at him to try to stop him, and then pursued him while he got in his car and drove away. And then they pursued him later, where he later crashed.
And so he did methodically, with obvious premeditation, walk into this church firing guns.
Yes, he started from the outside. Neighbor said he fired about 3 to 4 clips. He what do you call it? He reloaded his gun with magazines about 3 or 4 times outside, and then went inside and did about the same. They said they heard him reloading about 3 or 4 times inside the church as well.
And there is nothing known yet as to what motivated him to do this terrible thing.
There's nothing known. The suspect, the gunman, is not even from the area. He's from New Braunfels, Texas, which is west of San Antonio as well. We are hearing reports that he may have family that lived in the area, but he himself did not live in the area, and there's nobody knows why he opened fire and what his motive and why he picked that church.
Erica, what can you tell us about this community? Obviously it's tiny, and obviously they live, this ain't New York, is it, or Los Angeles? This is a different kind of America. What's the community like?
It's country living out here in Texas. It's about a community of 400. There's nothing in this little town but a couple gas stations and a street light, and it's a very, very small community. Most of them in the community have to travel 10, 15 miles east to go get their groceries. So it's definitely out in the country. It's a farm town. It's out in the middle of South Texas, and then it's a very small, tight knit community. Everybody knows everybody there.
Erica, I want to ask you a question that's quite a tough question, and I presume that you may know people who know people if you live nearby. So I don't want to offend you in any way, but Texas has one of the highest per capita rates of gun ownership in the United States. It has some of the laxest gun ownership laws in the United States. Will people talk about this stuff now, or is that not a conversation that takes place?
Speaking with the neighbors outside, some of them did make comments that, yes, this man came in with a semi-automatic weapon and, and opened fire on these innocent people, but also that, it was their own, gun ownership that also stopped this man from continuing. And, it's a double-edged sword here in Texas. It's something that, it's a political theme that will constantly be talked about in the United States about gun control. And yes, Texas has some of the most, easiest gun laws from all the states. We have open carry laws here in Texas. So, but it's something I think right now probably shouldn't be talked about, but it will be talked about politically for weeks to come.
Erika Hernandez is a digital journalist with KSAT 12 in San Antonio. Open carry state is Texas. Today's shooting in Sutherland Springs was the 377th mass shooting in the United States so far this year. They're chronicled on the website Mass Shooting Tracker, which records the details of all shootings in which 4 or more people are shot. 27 dead in Sutherland Springs, 59 dead in Las Vegas last month, 9 dead in a city called Plano in September, 5 in New Mexico in June, 6 in Florida the same month, 8 in Mississippi in May, and on and on. Some other 5s, lots of 4s, but those relatively small mass murders are so commonplace they attract local media coverage rather than national attention. Fewer thoughts and prayers from the White House. And the number of gun violence deaths in the USA so far this year, well, earlier this afternoon it was standing at 13,135, although it increases constantly. Southern Springs was one of 13 fatal shootings across the US on Sunday. That was a quiet day. On Saturday, there were 30 separate shootings in which people died.